The unexpected arrival. The massive crystalline ships of the Zorake descended upon Earth with an air of absolute certainty. Commander Vrital, a towering being of iridescent exoskeleton and calculated precision, believed conquest would be swift and absolute. Humanity, they had determined through centuries of interstellar observation, was a fractured, primitive species barely capable of unified action. Their initial broadcast echoed across every digital screen on the planet: "People of Earth, your technological inferiority is evident. Resistance is futile. Prepare for systematic integration into the Galactic Collective." What happened next was something no Zorake simulation or strategic model could have predicted. In a small coffee shop in Chicago, barista Raj Patel looked up from his espresso machine, listened to the alien declaration, and muttered, "Yeah, no." At the United Nations headquarters, diplomats didn't scramble for emergency protocols. Instead, they began discussing the bureaucratic implications of an alien invasion during their regularly scheduled Tuesday meeting. In Silicon Valley, a group of software engineers were more concerned about potential bandwidth interruptions than planetary conquest. "If these aliens think they can slow down our network," whispered Emma Rodriguez, adjusting her noise-canceling headphones, "they've got another thing coming." The Zorake had meticulously studied human conflict patterns. They expected nuclear launches, military resistance, or panicked chaos. What they received was something far more terrifying: complete, calculated indifference mixed with an almost casual curiosity. Commander Vrital's secondary communication tentacle began to twitch, a sign of growing confusion. Their advanced translation matrices were picking up responses that defied all predictive models. "So, does this mean I still have to complete my tax returns?" asked Marcus Thompson, a mid-level accountant in New York, while simultaneously filing a digital form and sipping lukewarm coffee. "Will this affect my streaming service subscriptions?" commented a teenager in Tokyo. "Can we get dental coverage with this whole alien thing?" inquired a woman in Toronto. The Zorake communication networks became flooded with an endless stream of pragmatic, bureaucratic questions that seemed to completely miss the gravity of their invasion. Their cultural analysis teams worked overtime, trying to decode this seemingly incomprehensible human response. Were these messages some form of complex resistance communication? A subtle psychological warfare technique? No. These were genuine, mundane concerns about daily life. Within 48 hours, the Zorake realized they had made a fundamental miscalculation about humanity. This wasn't a species that would be easily conquered through traditional means of military or technological superiority. This was a species that could turn bureaucracy into a weapon, transform inconvenience into resistance, and view a galactic invasion as nothing more than an unexpected disruption to their daily routine. And they were just getting started. Commander Vrital's final log entry for that day simply read, "Recommendation, require additional data. Humanity defies all known categorical understanding." Little did they know, this was merely the beginning of a conflict that would redefine the meaning of resilience across the universe. The bureaucratic battleground. The Zorake quickly discovered that conquering Earth was nothing like their previous planetary acquisitions. While their technological prowess was unquestionable, they had severely underestimated humanity's most potent weapon: bureaucratic complexity. Raj Patel, the Chicago barista who first responded with casual defiance, found himself at the unexpected forefront of resistance. His background in international business administration, combined with a remarkable talent for paperwork, became an unlikely weapon against the alien occupation. The Zorake implemented what they called the Galactic Administrative Protocol, a comprehensive system designed to streamline planetary management. What they didn't anticipate was how humans would transform this system into an intricate maze of resistance. Within weeks, human bureaucrats began submitting increasingly complex forms. Raj discovered a peculiar clause in the Alien Integration Manual that allowed for cultural preservation documentation. He immediately began drafting a 247-page report on the sociological importance of coffee culture, complete with exhaustive footnotes, cross-references, and diagrams. Emma Rodriguez and her team of software engineers were busy in their own right. They noticed that the Zoreke communication systems had specific formatting requirements for official documents. What started as a joke quickly became a sophisticated method of resistance, embedding subtle messages within perfectly formatted administrative reports. One particularly memorable document included a 30-page appendix on human workplace productivity optimization that, when read between the lines, contained detailed communication networks for underground resistance groups. The Zoreke bureaucrats, bound by their own strict protocols, were required to review every single page. Marcus Thompson discovered an even more intricate approach. He found a minuscule loophole in the alien taxation system that allowed for cultural exemption claims. His first submission was a 500-page document arguing that human administrative practices were a form of sacred cultural expression that could not be altered or simplified. The Zoreke Administrative Corps began to buckle under the weight of human creativity. Their communication networks became clogged with increasingly complex documentation. What should have been a simple occupation turned into an endless sea of paperwork, each document a potential Trojan horse of resistance. Commander Vrital's frustration reached new heights during a critical meeting. "They're not fighting us," he complained to his senior advisors, "they're bureaucratically suffocating us." The resistance wasn't just about paperwork. Humans began developing an intricate underground communication system. Coffee shops became secret meeting points. Seemingly innocent book clubs and community centers served as coordination centers. Each interaction was carefully coded, hidden behind layers of mundane conversations and perfectly formatted administrative requests. Emma's software team developed encrypted communication protocols that looked like standard administrative reports. A discussion about resistance could be hidden within a seemingly routine document about workplace ergonomics. What made this resistance truly remarkable was its inclusivity. It wasn't just activists or military personnel involved. Accountants, librarians, software engineers, teachers, everyone found a way to contribute. The Zoreke had expected a hierarchical resistance. Instead, they faced a decentralized network that operated with remarkable efficiency. Raja's coffee culture documentation became so extensive that the Zoreke were forced to assign an entire department to review it. What they didn't realize was that each page contained subtle mapping of resistance communication channels. By the third month of occupation, the Zoreke found themselves drowning in paperwork, their advanced administrative systems completely overwhelmed by human ingenuity. Every attempt to simplify their occupation was met with increasingly complex documentation. Commander Vrital's final report for this period contained a line that would become legendary among human resistance members: recommendation, require complete system recalibration. Humans appear to have weaponized inconvenience. The bureaucratic battleground had been drawn, and humanity was just getting started. Cultural warfare. The Zoreke quickly realized that human resistance extended far beyond paperwork. Their cultural analysis teams, already stretched thin by bureaucratic challenges, now faced an even more perplexing battlefield: human humor and creativity. It began innocently enough. A junior Zoreke communication specialist named Kronek was assigned to monitor human media channels. What started as a routine surveillance task rapidly devolved into what can only be described as psychological warfare through absurdity. Memes became weapons. Internet humor transformed into a sophisticated resistance strategy. Humans discovered that the Zoreke communication systems had no effective filter for contextual humor. Every official channel became flooded with increasingly complex jokes, puns, and cultural references that drove the alien administrators to the brink of madness. Willow Chen, a stand-up comedian turned unexpected resistance leader, recognized the potential immediately. She organized what became known as the Comedic Resistance Network, a group of comedians, writers, and social media experts who weaponized human creativity. The Zoreke had strict communication protocols that required them to analyze every incoming message for potential threats. This meant they were legally obligated to process every single meme, joke, and humorous communication. Their translation matrices began to break down under the sheer weight of human wit. One particularly memorable incident involved a global coordinated effort where humans began responding to all official Zorake communications with increasingly elaborate dad jokes. The alien administrators were required by their own protocols to log and analyze each submission. "Why did the alien cross the galaxy?" became a running joke that literally crashed multiple Zorake communication networks. Cultural references became a form of coded communication. Old movies, obscure TV shows, and pop culture became an intricate language that the Zorake could never fully comprehend. A simple reference to a 20-year-old sitcom could contain an entire resistance message. The Zorake's attempts to understand human culture only made things worse. Their cultural analysis teams began producing reports that read like fever dreams, complex dissertations trying to extract meaning from internet memes and viral videos. Willow's team took things a step further. They developed a sophisticated system of humor-based communication that looked like nothing more than elaborate jokes to an outside observer. A seemingly random meme could contain coordinates for resistance meeting points. A viral dance challenge could communicate complex strategic information. Commander Kroenak's reports became increasingly desperate. "The humans are weaponizing nonsense," one report read. "Their ability to find humor in literally anything is beyond our comprehension." The resistance discovered that the Zorake had one critical weakness: they took everything literally. Sarcasm became a weapon more potent than any physical armament. Humans began responding to alien directives with such perfectly crafted sarcastic compliance that the Zorake administrative systems began to malfunction. Underground comedy clubs became resistance headquarters. Open mic nights were actually sophisticated planning meetings. A seemingly innocent stand-up routine could contain entire resistance strategies, hidden behind layers of jokes and cultural references. The Zorake's advanced translation matrices, designed to perfectly interpret any language, began to break down. Human humor, with its layers of irony, sarcasm, and contextual complexity, proved to be an insurmountable challenge. By the 6th month of occupation, the Zorake found themselves in a war they never anticipated, a conflict fought with jokes, memes, and an absolutely refusal to be serious in the face of alien occupation. Commander Vrital's final report for this period contained a line that would become legendary: "Humans do not fight. They entertain their enemies into submission." The cultural warfare had only just begun, and humanity was proving to be an opponent unlike any the Zorake had ever encountered. The technological uprising. The Zorake prided themselves on technological superiority. Their advanced systems had conquered countless civilizations, rendering resistance futile. But humanity was about to prove that innovation wasn't just about advanced technology, it was about creative adaptation. Zara Patel, a brilliant electrical engineer who had been working in a small research lab before the invasion, became the unexpected architect of human technological resistance. Where the Zorake saw sophisticated alien technology, she saw opportunity. It started with something seemingly mundane. The aliens had implemented a planet-wide communication network that they believed was completely secure. What they didn't understand was the human capacity for technological improvisation. Zara and her team began repurposing everyday technology in ways the Zorake could never have anticipated. Old smartphones became intricate communication devices. Internet of Things, IoT, devices transformed into sophisticated monitoring systems. Even household appliances became tools of resistance. The first major breakthrough came from an unlikely source. A group of teenage gamers discovered that the Zorake communication frequencies had subtle vulnerabilities. What started as a late-night hacking challenge quickly became a critical resistance strategy. Kai Rodriguez, a 17-year-old who had been grounded for excessive gaming before the invasion, became a key player. His understanding of network protocols and gaming system architecture provided unprecedented insights into the alien technological infrastructure. The Zorake had implemented what they considered an unbreakable planetary monitoring system. Within weeks, Zara's team had not only found multiple entry points but had begun to create a parallel communication network that ran alongside the alien systems. Everyday devices became Trojan horses. A smart refrigerator could now relay encrypted messages. A digital thermostat became a communication node. The Zorayke's technological supremacy was being undermined by humanity's ability to see potential where others saw limitations. One of the most ingenious developments was a communication system that looked like random internet traffic. To the alien monitoring systems, it appeared to be nothing more than typical human digital noise, streaming services, social media, online gaming. In reality, it was an elaborate resistance communication grid. The technological resistance wasn't just about communication. Zara's team began developing countermeasures that exploited the Zorayke's technological assumptions. They created adaptive algorithms that could mimic and then subvert alien monitoring protocols. Kai and his network of young technologists became particularly adept at what they called technological judo, using the aliens' own systems against them. They discovered that the Zorayke's advanced AI systems had a critical flaw: they struggled with truly unpredictable human creativity. Vintage technology became an unexpected weapon. Old computer systems, which didn't rely on the same digital infrastructure as modern tech, proved almost invisible to the Zorayke's monitoring systems. Underground networks began using a combination of outdated technology and cutting-edge adaptive algorithms. The turning point came during what the resistance called the Great Digital Counteroffensive. In a coordinated global effort, humans began flooding the Zorayke communication networks with complex, adaptive data packets that looked like legitimate system communications but were actually sophisticated disruptive algorithms. Commander Vrital watched in horror as their supposedly impenetrable technological infrastructure began to show cracks. "They're not just resisting," he reported to High Command, "they're rewriting the very rules of technological engagement." The Zorayke had conquered civilizations with technology that seemed magical to less advanced species. Humanity was proving that true technological superiority wasn't about having the most advanced systems, it was about the ability to adapt, improvise, and see potential where others saw only limitations. As the fourth month of the technological uprising came to a close, the Zorayke found themselves in a war where their greatest technological advantages were being systematically dismantled by human creativity. The technological battlefield had been transformed, and humanity was just getting started. Reclaiming humanity's future. The final confrontation was nothing like the Zorayke had imagined. No massive space battles, no apocalyptic weapon exchanges, just a culmination of human ingenuity that would be remembered as the most unconventional victory in galactic history. Zara Patel, Willow Chen, Kai Rodriguez, and a global network of resistance leaders converged in an abandoned communication hub in the heart of what was once Silicon Valley. Their plan was audacious, complex, and entirely dependent on the one thing the Zorayke could never understand: human unpredictability. The resistance had spent months carefully mapping the Zorayke's technological and bureaucratic vulnerabilities. Every system, every protocol, every communication channel had been meticulously analyzed, understood, and prepared for exploitation. Commander Vrital received the first warning signs during what should have been a routine planetary management meeting. The communication systems began to behave erratically, not with the dramatic explosions of traditional warfare, but with a subtle, almost playful disruption that defied all logical explanation. Memes began to cascade through official communication channels. Jokes written in perfectly formatted bureaucratic language started to replace critical system updates. The Zorayke's advanced translation matrices went into overdrive, trying to extract meaning from what appeared to be increasingly absurd communications. Kai's team had developed what they called the chaos algorithm, a sophisticated network of adaptive code that could simultaneously exist across multiple communication platforms. To the Zorayke, it looked like nothing more than random internet noise. In reality, it was a precisely orchestrated digital resistance. Zara's technological innovations came to full fruition. The repurposed devices, smart refrigerators, outdated gaming consoles, even modified coffee machines, formed a decentralized network that was impossible to track or disable. Each device was a node, each communication a potential weapon. The Resistance had discovered the Zorai's critical weakness, their inability to handle true randomness. Their advanced AI systems were designed to predict and control, but humanity thrived on the unexpected. Willow's comedic Resistance network launched their final strategy. Every official Zorai communication channel became flooded with increasingly complex layers of humor, sarcasm, and cultural references. Their systems were designed to analyze each message, which meant they were forced to process an impossible volume of intentionally complex information. The global Resistance had transformed the entire planet into a massive, living resistance mechanism. Every human became a potential vector of disruption, every interaction a potential point of subversion. Commander Vrital's final transmission captured the moment of realization: they are not fighting us. They are reimagining the very concept of conflict. The Zorai's planetary control systems began to fragment. Not through violent destruction, but through a systematic deconstruction that was almost elegant in its complexity. Their rigid, logic-driven infrastructure simply couldn't compete with human creativity. In a moment that would be recorded in galactic history, the Zorai made an unprecedented decision. Instead of attempting to maintain control, they initiated a planetary withdrawal protocol. The official communication was a masterpiece of bureaucratic confusion, a 10,000-page document that essentially said, "We're leaving, and we're not entirely sure why." Humanity had done the impossible. They had defeated a technologically superior alien force not through traditional warfare, but through an intricate combination of bureaucratic manipulation, technological innovation, and sheer creative spirit. As the Zorai ships began to withdraw, celebrations erupted globally. But it wasn't a typical victory celebration. It was a global inside joke, a shared moment of collective creativity that had quite literally saved the planet. Zara, Willow, and Kai stood together in the communication hub, watching the alien withdrawal. "Well," Willow said, breaking the silence with perfect comedic timing, "that was one way to file an eviction notice. The Resistance had proven something fundamental about humanity: our greatest strength was never our technology, our weapons, or our individual capabilities. It was our ability to adapt, to find humor in the darkest moments, to turn limitations into opportunities." The Zorai would return to their home systems with a warning that would echo through galactic archives: humanity was not a species to be conquered. They were a species to be understood, if that was even possible. And somewhere, in the vast expanse of space, Commander Vrital was probably still trying to understand a particularly complex meme.